Welcome to the first episode of Poly plus Amor equals us. We are so excited to be starting this podcast, and thank you so much for joining us and listening. So we recorded the first 2 episodes of this podcast together all at the same time. So today you're going to get the first part of it. And we wanted to start out really with just telling you our story. Telling you who we are and how we got to this point in our lives and in our marriage and in our relationship, because otherwise it's not really going to make sense, right? You have to know the history in order to understand what's going on in the present. So that's what we've decided to do. We sat down and talked about just our whole story, both of us from beginning to end. So that's what the first 2 episodes are going to be about. And then after that, we're going to get more into the nitty-gritty details of like why we became poly and go into more depth into some of the stories and things you're going to hear about today. So yeah, we're going to get into all of that much more, but these first 2 episodes are going to be just about us. So you can get to know us, who we are, and understand how we came to be where we're at right now. So I'm really excited, and hello. Hi. Welcome to the first episode of our podcast, Poly plus Amor equals us. We're going to start with the us. In this podcast. My name is Elisa. This is my husband, Mike. And we're just going to start off introducing ourselves so that way you guys can kind of get to know us and get to know what this podcast is going to be about. Take it away.
All right, so let's jump right in. My name is Mike. I was born in San Jose, California, up north. I'm 33 years old, about to be 34 in early February. I went to UCLA for college, got my bachelor's and master's degrees in mechanical engineering there, and right now I'm currently working as a mechanical engineer in Torrance for a very small engineering consulting company. So that's kind of more of an overview of my occupation, but who I was growing up, I was kind of the stereotypical like jockey type, but also pretty nerdy too. It's kind of an even split between the two. I can't really say which one I was more of, but I loved playing soccer and running track, but soccer was my main sport. I also have a twin brother. His name's Matt, and we grew up playing soccer. We played practically year round, and so that was a big part of our lives. A lot of our friends. Some of our earliest friends actually were from our soccer team, and they're some of our best friends still to this day. So a lot of my life, all throughout middle school and high school, really revolved around soccer and then just school. I was pretty studious. My mom always pounded that into my brother and I just to get good grades and do well in school, because she viewed that as being our way to advance in life and make a way for ourselves. That's really a big part of who I was in high school, and in college. I just kind of transitioned what I was doing in high school and just kind of did it more in college. I would consider myself a fairly social person, but at the same time, I was also pretty shy. So I liked going out and doing things, getting with friends, but I was never really the kind of the leader type. I was a little more passive. And kind of remained like that through definitely all throughout high school and a lot of college too. So that's one big thing I've been working on, really ever since I graduated college, even up to this day. That's kind of, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast with my wife. And yeah, so I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about the specifics of that later on, but just kind of want to give you an overview of who I am and kind of the main talking points of myself. So back on to you.
Cool. Okay, so I'm Elisa. I was born in Mission Viejo, California. I was born and raised there for my whole life. I was always the loud child. Always. I was super bossy, as everyone likes to say, which I hate, and maybe we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'm an Aries. For any of you astrology fans, I love astrology. Yeah, I'm an Aries sun, so that kind of explains it all. I ran cross country at a very young age when I was 5. My parents put me into cross country because my mom said she can remember we were at the park playing with friends, and all of my friends had gotten tired from running around so much, and I was still running around this tree around them. I had all this energy. So my mom was like, "Oh my God, we need to find a way to get all of this energy out of you." And so she put me into cross country. My dad also ran track and cross country. He got a scholarship to UCLA for that, so that was kind of in my blood. But I think that really describes very much who I am. I have a shit ton of energy. I always that energy. I just have that. And
The Energizer Bunny.
Yeah, the Energizer Bunny. That's what my mom calls me. Yeah, but it's also this energy just for doing fun things and traveling and exploring, and it's kind of leaked into every area of my life. Anyway, so as I got older, well, not as I got older, I also have always loved being a performer and being on stage. I am an actor, and it is my calling and the thing I love the most. I love really storytelling and exploring different emotions through characters. That's why I love acting, because I can play a character who is nothing like me, but get to explore that emotional depth. And so that I started acting when I was really young. Did that all through high school, and then in college, that's what I majored in. I majored in theater at Fresno State. I got my bachelor's in that. And so yeah, that's a huge part of me, of course. What else? Anything else? Did I miss anything important?
We should talk about what we've been doing recently.
What have we been doing recently?
Maybe not so much 2020, but I mean, actually, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good summary. We don't need to get too in depth.
We're gonna get into other stuff later. Yeah. And everything we talk about in this episode, probably we're going to come back to later. So this is kind of just an overview of us, essentially. Okay, so why we started this podcast? You want to go with why you want to start this podcast?
So there are several reasons why I wanted to get involved in this podcast. Elisa was the one that started it. This is her brainchild, so I don't want to take credit from you for that.
Oh, don't worry. I was going to mention that too.
I'll just get ahead of it. So kind of as I was alluding to earlier, as I was talking about earlier, when I was growing up, I was definitely more on the shy side, and I've always felt like I had this sort of social anxiety and a very difficult time processing and expressing my emotions. And so over the years, just kind of through self-reflection and then also a lot of help from my lovely wife, I've been able to just kind of, I guess, better understand that part of me. I was always so focused on, the masculine side of things, just how can I do more? How can I get things done? How can I be better? And it was all related to, either physical activities like sports or just through my career. And so what I've been trying to focus more on recently is just self-expression. Just, how am I feeling? How do I want to clearly express myself? Because in the past I felt like, how I felt and what I wanted to say maybe wouldn't come out exactly as I had wanted it to. So, a big part of this for me is actually just sharing my thoughts and my beliefs, and I guess a more public domain, which I've never really done in my life. So this is going to be quite the new experience.
Woohoo.
So that's one reason. Another reason is just to kind of be able to have I guess a very kind of direct platform that'll kind of help me just really think about why we want to be polyamorous and what we're experiencing and how we're kind of working through that. Because, we can just kind of live through life, like floating through, but this is going to be like our one time to really we'll have conversations, of course, on the side, but to sit down and explain to, people who care to listen about this, what we're going through, it's going to take kind of a lot more in-depth thought, I guess, and to be able to explain exactly what I'm feeling. So, this platform will kind of help me better understand and just better navigate our polyamorous adventures as they happen. And another reason was really because Elisa wanted to do this podcast, and she was so adamant about it, and she really wanted to do it, and
always gets her way.
well, for the most part. But yeah, I wanted to support her in something that she loves and really wants to do, and she's always been just so great at self-expression. I mean, she's an actress, so this is kind of just who she is. So yeah, just wanted to be supportive and help her out. I guess those are pretty much the main reasons why.
Awesome. So the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast. So for me, first, I really wanted to talk more openly about polyamory and about my experience with opening up our relationship and exploring what it means to be polyamorous. But I didn't really know how to do that, and I also wanted to make sure I wanted to talk about it more publicly, but I wanted to make sure that Mike was also okay with it too. I didn't want to start talking about something publicly that he wasn't ready for. So over the past few months, we kind of got in a place where we were both feeling like, okay, we want to talk about this more open. And once that started happening on other platforms, like I first started talking about it on Instagram, once that started happening, I really realized, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize I felt like there was a part of me that I was keeping secret. And I didn't realize that until I started sharing about it, that I was like, oh, I feel like I'm telling the secret that I've been holding and carrying. And and I didn't want it to be that way, because it for me, I was like, I don't want this to be a secret. I want to be able to talk about it, because I feel like if other people had been talking about this, or if polyamory had been talked about more when I was younger, it could have really helped me. I mean, maybe, who knows? I'm really stubborn, so maybe I would have been like, that's dumb, and then years later been like, oh shoot, that's not dumb. But yeah, so that's part of the reason why I wanted to start this, because I've also come to realize that sharing our stories, just in general, when people speak their truths and share their stories, that is medicine for other people. If somebody else had experienced what I have gone through, if they had been talking about that and I had been able to hear it before everything I had gone through, things might have been different. I might have made different decisions, or I might have understood myself on a different level. And because I didn't have that, that's kind of what I want this podcast to be. So that way, in the future, if there are other women or men who are experiencing some of the things that I experienced growing up, then maybe this will help them understand themselves better. And so that's what I want this to be. I want this to be the thing that I didn't have, that I needed. When it came to discovering polyamory and sexuality and relationships. So that's a big reason why I wanted to start this. And now here we are. Also, I wanted something fun that I could do with Mike, because I mean, yeah, sure, we go out and we have fun and we do things, but I don't know. I really wanted like some sort of project or thing that we could do together. And here we are. This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a big part of it, like, you know, we have our own personal reasons, but I think, you know, sharing is a big part of why we want to do this.
Yeah.
You know, it is the main part, because, you know, we want to kind of share our experiences living this polyamorous life with people who also are maybe curious about it, who are also living it, and trying to maybe gain a different perspective or just hear from other people who are also living that lifestyle. So yeah, you know, it's a good combination of both personal and, I guess, more, I don't know, altruistic reasons, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
So should we talk about the name?
Oh yeah. Okay, so the name of our podcast is Poly plus Amor equals us. And so the way we came up with that sort of, well, I get, okay, the way that it makes sense in my mind, which we haven't actually talked about. So we were like going back and forth about like names and kind of what we were thinking, and we came up with this, first of all, Amor, Poly plus Amor. Our nicknames for each other are mi amor, which in Spanish means my love. And because so we didn't have nicknames for each other for like 2 years. 2 years of dating, we didn't have a nickname. And in the back of my mind, I was like, is that weird that we don't have nicknames for each other? I don't know, because people usually have like super cute nicknames. And it's like not important, but I still thought about it. And then we took a trip to Costa Rica, and of course everyone there was like, oh, mi amor, mi amor, mi amor. And so we started calling each other that, because like it's so romantic, and then it kind of just stuck. And so that's part of the reason why I love the name of the podcast, because it's not just, of course, amor means like love in Spanish, but it has like a more significant meaning for the two of us. And then also, I really like the plus sign and the equal sign, because Mike is such a nerd, and I just felt like it was very fitting, like that we have this little equation. And as you get to know Mike more, you'll probably understand that, how much of a nerd he is. But well, but yeah, I love that it's like an equation. Yeah,
that part was my idea.
Exactly. And so it's an equation, which I think is very fitting for Mike, but then it also has like amor, which is like the love and the romance aspect, and I don't know. So it's kind of like a combination of all of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of also like how the word is just like, you know, if you like break it up into like its Latin components. Of course, it means like many lovers, but
yeah,
there's the poly, like amor. Yes, we have the term of endearment.
Yeah,
amor, but there's also the us, you know.
Yeah, because
this is like us sharing our experiences together. So it kind of just nicely.
Yeah.
You know, once we thought of it, it's just like, okay, yeah, each of these segments kind of means something different and is somewhat meaningful to us. So
yeah,
let's go with that.
Yeah, exactly.
That worked out.
Yeah. So yeah, there we have it. There it is. Okay, next we're gonna launch into our story. So yeah, where to begin? Where to begin with our story? So Mike and I met in 2015 at a music festival called Lightning in a Bottle. If any of you have heard of it, shout out to you. Yeah, Mike went with a big group of friends, and I went with my two best friends. And they had gone the previous year, and they were out dancing, having fun, whatever, and some lost little soul came over to them and started talking with them, and he was like, I can't find my friends, and they were like, we can be your friends until you find your friends, because that's how it is at music festivals, you probably know. So they eventually find his friends, they make friends with the friends, and a whole year later, those friends said, hey, you guys should camp with us. And so my two best friends were like, okay, yeah, sure. So I was like, okay, I guess we're going to be camping with these people I don't know. Sure, whatever. So we get to this festival, and I meet for the first time all of these people, and my two best friends met pretty much everybody for the first time as well. But it was a group of like 20, 30 people. How many people do you think there were that year?
Yeah, we had
It was
lot that
a lot.
year.
Yeah.
So it was my main friend group, which was like anywhere from like 10 to 15, and then like friends of friends too. So yeah,
Exactly.
it was probably about like 30.
Yeah.
25 to 30.
Yeah, somewhere between 20 to 30 people. To me, it feels like it was closer to 30, but I don't know. Anyway, but so we show up, and I'm like, holy shit, there's 30 people here that like I don't know, and we're at this music festival. Things are gonna go down. It was, for me, it definitely spiked my anxiety a little bit. But I can remember meeting Mike. I remember very specifically you were standing there with Matt and Terry. That's his brother and his brother's wife. So the three of them were standing there, and I remember like saying hi to all three of you, and I remember thinking, oh, okay, one's married and one isn't. And so they're twins, by the way, and they're identical. Supposedly the doctor said they are fraternal, but if anyone has ever seen them together when they both have like the same sort of haircut, they're identical. They are identical. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird being told your whole life you're fraternal, but then like obviously the genes don't lie, so we look so much alike. We have to be identical.
Yeah, you guys look identical. So how? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
we are.
They look identical. Anyone will tell you that. So yeah. So what about? Do you remember meeting me?
Yeah. Well, I remember. I can't remember specifically the very first time. Well, no, I take that back. I remember when I very first said hi to you, when I introduced myself. But there was a time before that when, like, you know, like I know everybody in our group, minus you guys. So you guys are kind of like the new people, and I'm like, oh, I'm curious about you.
Yeah.
And there were 4 girls and 1 guy.
Yeah.
There's 4. Okay.
Yeah, there were 4 girls and 1 guy total.
Yeah.
Of like my group.
And I was single at the time, so I'm like, oh, awesome. Like,
I like these odds. Well, but one of them was taken, so really three single.
But I didn't know that, so I was just trying to scope out the scene, see what's going on. And so I remember singing you guys. I remember you for sure caught my attention first because I was like, oh, she's super attractive. But then I remember when we met. We just said our common formalities like, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. Yeah. Where are you guys from? Blah, blah, blah. So, we said all that, but I could tell, you were definitely a little nervous and maybe a little reserved at first. And I didn't blame you because you were, coming into this huge group of people you didn't know. And I was thinking to myself, if I was in that same boat, I'd definitely be kind of on the more reserved side. So, yeah, I remember just kind of those were my 2 initial thoughts, and then as the weekends progressed and we got to know each other a little bit more, and then that's when I realized that I really liked you and that you were definitely different than me, but in like in the opposite attract kind of way, like the way I needed somebody to like kind of emotionally pull me out of my shell.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, that's not, like, the reason why, like, I wanted to be with you, but
Yeah.
I just knew, like, that, I think that's just, like, the natural attraction right there.
Yeah.
You have that aspect, and I just had kind of the more structured aspect.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But then, so, when was it? It was
the second night.
the second night, right?
It was the second night.
Yeah, so the second night was when, that was, like, the first time we actually, like, danced and kissed.
Yeah.
And got a little more intimate. So
had sex. It's okay. We could say it. We're going to be talking about sex on the podcast, I'm sure. So
yeah,
we might as well say.
Right, well,
not be afraid to say it.
I'll slowly get used to that. Not like it's weird or awkward, but
yeah,
talking about it live on a podcast is a little different. But anyway, so yeah, that second night, I remember we had all gone out to one of the main stages at LAB, and it was Flume. Flume was performing, right?
Yeah.
So Flume was performing, and I remember he just had these, these like crazy, it's like awesome purple lights in the background, and so I'm dancing just with, just like in a group of my like immediate friends, and I see Elisa and like her group of friends right next to us, and so we're making eye contact pretty often for like over maybe 30 to 45 minutes, and see, this is like where my shy side comes in. Like, I should have immediately like gone up and talked to you, or at least like asked you to dance, or just something, just like engage in some way.
Yeah.
And of course, it took me. Oh, it didn't even take me 45 minutes. It took me longer, and I wasn't even the one to initiate. So
yeah. So
bad move on my part.
So wait, before we get to that.
Okay.
So yeah, I want to talk about, because I think it's funny. So yeah, it's the second night. The first night of this festival, Friday night, I can remember like really late. We had already like gone out to the stages, done all the things, came back to camp. It was like the wind down time. And we were sitting on this like blow up couch thing that someone had brought. And Mike was sitting on the end. Our friend John was sitting in the middle. And then I was sitting on the right. And Mike and John were talking. And I was like listening in on the conversation. Drugs had been done. So for me, I was like, I wasn't in like a talking place. Talking was just like totally out of the question. But I was like, oh, perfect. So I like sat there on the couch. Someone was like spinning lights or doing something. And I was like watching that. But I was like listening in on this conversation and like eavesdropping on this conversation, because I was like, well, I can't talk to him right now. I can't talk to anybody right now. But I can listen. And so I remember you talking to him. And it was just like a getting to know you kind of conversation, It was like, oh, where are you from? Because we had people from all over California. And he was like, oh, I'm in LA. And I was like, oh my God, I'm in LA too. In my mind, of course. And then he was like, oh yeah, I play soccer. And I was like, oh my gosh, I actually know soccer. That's one of the sports I actually know, because like a previous boyfriend was super into soccer too. And so I really liked soccer, and I was like, oh my God, I like soccer too. But again, this is like in my mind.
All in your head, though. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, then the next day, yeah, and I didn't have the courage. So by the next day, I was like, okay, I kind of like this guy. I want to talk to him, that whole kind of thing. So I do. I finally get up the courage. We're at the stage waiting for Flume to start. There's like a 30 to 45 minute break or something before they start. And we got there like super early, so that way, we could get like a good spot, because like our whole group wanted to see Flume. So we're waiting for this set to start. And I'm like, okay, I got the courage and I'm going to go talk to him. So I do. So I start talking to him. And I'm like being really cute, and I'm like kind of flirting and like laughing at the stuff he says, and like light touch on the arm, like all the things. And then all of a sudden I look down and I see on his left hand, he has a wedding ring. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm talking to the wrong twin. I was talking to the wrong one. I was talking to his brother. I wasn't talking to him. And I was like, damn it, I just wasted my courage, my flirtatiousness, and all this stuff on the wrong person. I was so angry. And so I look around and I spot Mike, and he's like on the other side of the group talking with my best friends. I was like, damn it. So anyway, I go over there.
Whoops.
I know. Whoops. So I go over there and start talking, and then from what I can remember, it wasn't long after that, and then the music started. And so the music started, and I was like, well, there goes my chance to like really talk to him. I don't know if it was actually that soon after I went over there, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I was off in my own world at that point, so.
Yeah, so I don't really know. But yeah, so the music started, and then it was like, damn, there's my chance. So, but like, it was very clear. We were like, it was like me and my friends like over here, and then Mike and his friends like in a clump over here, but the two clumps were like right next to each other. And so Mike and I are dancing basically right next to each other. But like we can't talk to each other. Like it's not happening. So my best friend.
Well, it wasn't happening because neither of us actually initiated.
Exactly.
That was the problem.
Yeah.
But then
neither one of us was willing to like take that step to make something more happen. But we were like right next to each other, like right next to each other on purpose. But yeah, so then my best friend, knowing me, she can see, she's like, it's so obvious. She will say, it's so obvious. You guys are just like right next to me. And she got so angry at me one time. This is side story. We were at a bar and there was this cute boy, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to talk to him. Oh, no. And so I didn't. So we leave the bar, and as soon as we leave the bar, I'm like, you know what? I wish I had talked to him. And she got so mad, she pushed me, and I fell over into a bush. So that's her for you. She got so mad, and so then she was like, go back in there and talk to him. Because she had been trying to get me to talk to him all night. Anyway, so that's her. So again, so now she sees me, you know, at this music festival, dancing next to the guy. It's very obvious. And she's like, God damn it. And so she pushes me. She pushes me right into him. So we just like clunk right into each other. But it forced us to talk to each other. And so that was like the initiation of it.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, she was aware of what was going on, and
yeah,
really, one of us should have initiated. I should have initiated for sure. I always think back to that and be like, oh, that was just kind of lame of me, but fortunately, she had the the awareness and the
thanks, Amanda,
the gusto to do that. So yeah, and then pretty much that was the one push that we needed, because after that, you know, we danced the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Kissed a lot. I remember we walked around the festival, who knows, like after the sets around like 2 a.m. just like looking at different light up like art installations and stuff like that. Yeah. And then had some fun after that. Mm-hmm. And then finally went to bed. Yeah. And then so that was night one.
Yeah. Well, night one for us.
For us.
Yeah. And then after that, so we realized we both lived in LA. And then we found out we worked like 10 minutes from each other. Not even 5 minutes from each other. Right? We worked right next to each other. So we started dating after that. And oftentimes it would be like, oh, let's go meet someplace after work. And like get food, get drinks, whatever, and then come back to my place, because I we both worked in Torrance and I lived in Redondo. So basically the same area, if you don't know where that is. But then he lived all the way basically in like Santa Monica area. So that's kind of far.
I was in Brentwood.
Yeah. But so that's kind of far. So, you know, we would like go have dinner, whatever. He'd come back to my place and then he would go home. And then very shortly after that, it was like, well, why don't you just like pack a bag and then you can spend the night and then go to work from here, because how long was your commute?
I mean, it was probably like 35 minutes in the morning and then 45 to 50 on the way home.
Yeah. Yikes.
So it wasn't terrible, but yeah, it was a lot shorter staying at your place.
Yeah, a lot shorter. It was like 10 minutes staying from my place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that became a thing pretty quickly, where he was packing a bag, spending the night, you know, 2 nights a week, then 3 nights a week, and then 4 nights a week. And
I think it quickly escalated like 4 or 5 probably within a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
If not within a month, maybe.
Well, no, it definitely took a little bit longer than that, because we met in May, and so you were staying over quite a bit, but then I remember asking you to be my boyfriend. And guess what, everyone?
But when was that? That was like 2
He
months
said no. He said no. Yeah, 2 months. So it was like 2 months in. I remember because you were about to go to Colorado. You were about to go to Denver to visit Nick and Amy.
Yeah, for the 4th.
Yeah, for 4th of July.
Yeah.
And so it was right before that. So we had been...
It's like a month and a half.
Yeah, so we had only been dating for like a month and a half. So, I mean, I guess it's like kind of quick, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it was quick for me. I hadn't dated someone in quite some time, so I was in no rush.
Yeah, but like we were texting every day, constantly, talking on the phone. We were going out on dates, you know, multiple times a week, spending most weekends together. I mean, so it was obvious, like we weren't seeing anybody else. So I was like, can we just call this what it is? You're my boyfriend, right? Like, we're exclusive. We're not seeing anybody else. Like, you're my boyfriend. And he said no.
I said, let's wait a little bit.
Which is essentially a no.
It wasn't a flat out, like, no rejection. It was like, I had a little commitment phobia.
Yeah.
As, you know, a lot of guys do. So I was like, okay, like, I know this is going to go there, but, like, just give me a little more time to get used to it.
What he said is he wanted to be able to tell his friends first before making it official. Okay.
Well, yeah, I guess some knew and some didn't, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a couple reasons.
So what were they?
Well,
since we're on the topic.
Those ones I just explained. I was kind of scared. Scared of the commitment, 'cause I've been single for, you know, quite some time, and I was somewhat enjoying that lifestyle, but, you know, I definitely wanted to find somebody.
Yeah.
Find a more serious relationship. So it was more just like, you know me, like, it takes me a little more time to make bigger changes like that, so.
I mean, I know you.
I wanted to, I just needed to be comfortable with myself.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, being 100% sure I wanted that commitment, because I knew once we were going to start this relationship, it was going to be serious. And
yeah.
So I just wanted to make 100% sure, and then I also just wanted to tell, like, more of my friends and just, you know, let them know.
Yeah.
Not like that was, like, preventing me from doing what I wanted to do. I just wanted a little more time to tell them, because I hadn't seen some of them in a while. That was all.
Oh, that was all.
That was all.
Okay, that was all.
I guess I didn't think it was a huge deal, but apparently.
Apparently, yeah.
Apparently.
I have not forgotten, and I never will. Okay. So, yeah. So, then he got back from his trip, and then I think just a few weeks after that, we finally made it official. And then slowly after that, you were staying over more. And by December, you were staying over so often that we had talked about you moving in. Because your lease was up in February. And so, and I was like, you're already staying here. It was really funny. We had this great routine. Mike would come over Monday. He would spend the night. He would go home on Wednesday. And after work, just because he was like, I need to do laundry and other stuff at home.
Yeah, I just wanted to check in to make sure
that his apartment was still there
my apartment
and
was
alive.
okay. And I had a roommate at the time. He was a friend, but I still wanted to go back and just check on things.
Yeah. Well, and plus you had to like get new clothes and stuff, and
yeah,
that whole thing.
And just
and
chill, have a little bit of my own time and space.
yeah. But then you would come back Thursday after work, and then and stay, and then Friday we would go to your place most of the time, and then like Friday night, and then we would spend the weekend at your place hanging out with your friends because most of them lived up there.
Yeah.
And then we would come back Sunday night and start the whole thing over again.
Yeah.
So yeah, by February, like you were spending so much time at my place, it just made sense. So, yeah, so we moved in together, so what was that, 9 months later?
Yeah, so early February 2016, so it was from mid-May 2015 to February 2016.
Yeah.
7-ish months.
Yeah, so I guess that's like kind of fast, depending on who you talk to.
I don't know.
Right, there's
it
no
felt right at the time.
Exactly, there's
we
no.
wanted to do it. It made logistical
sense.
sense. So it made sense on all fronts.
Yeah, and there's no right way to do it, right? It's whatever works for you. So yeah, so you moved in, and then just a whole year of having fun, right?
Yeah, I mean we partied a lot that year.
Yeah,
we were drinking quite a bit at that time too. I mean, we're still
Well, I was 25 when we met.
Yeah.
So you were 28.
I was 28.
Yeah, when we met. Yeah, we were definitely still in like the party phase of our lives.
Yeah, definitely
for
still
sure.
Party phase.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were going out every weekend. We were still going back to Brentwood to hang out with my friends, or going out in Hermosa since I was your stomping grounds and it was new to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're going out often.
Yeah, we're going out every weekend. We would go out to eat after work, a few times a week during the week. So we were probably like going out like 5 times a week. When you think about it.
I guess so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. Yeah, so now just kind of living that
living that life.
Late 20s lifestyle. Going out quite a bit. It's probably spending more money than we should have, but well, it was fun.
Yeah. No, it was great. I wouldn't change it for the world. We had a great time.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, well, because it was great for us in our relationship too, because we were, our relationship was still new. We were still learning about each other, and we were going out, doing all these exciting things, I think it was a great time for us in our relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were building new memories together.
Yeah, exactly.
And did we do any bigger trips back then? I mean, we were going out a lot in LA, but
we're going down to San Diego pretty often.
Oh yeah, I went to San Diego to visit my brother and some other friends down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going down to San Diego a lot, actually.
Yeah,
especially in
once a month.
that first year we were together. Yeah. And then even in 2016, we were going down to San Diego a lot, at least once a month.
Yeah.
We went to Snow Globe.
Yeah. Still going to festivals.
Yeah, we were still going to festivals.
Yeah. Cross. I went to Cross, I think. No, did you go to Cross?
Yeah.
Okay. So should we fast forward to 2017?
2017, yeah. So then 2017, we're at almost the 2-year mark, and so I was so it I had this thing in my mind that I don't know, I had never had a relationship last more than 2.5 years. And that really, for some reason, like really stuck out in my mind. The two relationships I had had beforehand that were like serious both ended right before the 2.5 year mark. And back then, I was really concerned with, like, I don't know, like meeting certain timelines, and I don't know, like I like really want to get married before I turn 30. And now I'm 30 and I'm like, why did that really matter? Um
Yeah.
Although I'm still really happy we did it the way we did it. We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
That's a topic for another
Yeah,
time.
no, you had these ideas in your head from when you're younger that you thought, this is like what I should do.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so something about that I think was also kind of looming over me, knowing that we were coming up to that 2.5 year mark. And yeah, so I don't know why I felt the need to bring that up, but I did. Um, it's something I should probably look into a little more. But yeah, so I was going out line dancing a lot with my roommate at the time, or our roommate at the time, because we were living together. And there was there were a couple places in Hermosa that did line dancing. And I loved line dancing. My two best friends that I mentioned before, they got me into line dancing. So fun. And so I was going out with my roommate like 3 or 4 nights a week going line dancing. And every night it was a different place. You know, it was like Wednesday we go here, Thursday we go here, Friday we go here, and Saturday we go there, like that kind of a thing. And so we were out line dancing on Wednesday in Hermosa Beach, and she met this guy. Well, like kind of. She had noticed this group of guys that would always come in, and they never really danced, but they were always there and talking. And there was one guy in particular that she like really wanted to talk to, but she was like kind of nervous to do it. So I was like, okay, why don't you go talk to him and I'll talk to his friend? Because that was the thing. She was like, he's always like with this group and I don't know how to like approach him. And I was like, okay, well, right now he's just with one other person. Let's just go talk to him, and you talk to him and I'll talk to his friend. I'll wing woman for you, So I start talking to the friend, and there was this like immediate connection with him. And it really kind of like surprised me and sort of, like caught me off guard, because I was like, whoa, what is happening right now? Like what am I feeling right now? This is really weird. And so we keep talking and we're having a great time, and all of a sudden, like, the whole night has gone by and I've spent the whole night talking to this guy, and my roommate has spent the whole night talking to the other guy. And the bar is getting ready to close, and it closed at like 12:30. So we're like, let's go next door, go to another bar that stays open till 2. So we did. So all 4 of us went over there. We continued talking, and that connection was just so strong, and I was feeling all of these feelings, and I was just so freaked out, because I was like, like, what is happening? Like, I have a boyfriend. What is going on? And so I remember going into the bathroom, and it was very clear that like my friend was going to go home with this guy. I'm pretty sure we had talked about it, and she was like, yeah, I'm going to go home with him, and I was like, okay. So I go into the bathroom and I call an Uber, and this bar has like a back door to the parking lot. So I call an Uber, and it gets here, and I text my friend like, hey, I'm leaving, like, have fun tonight. And I go out the back door, and I don't even say bye to this guy, because I just couldn't, you know? I was like, I don't know what's happening. I need to just like go home. So I did. And I was just so confused because I had always, this wasn't the first time this had happened to me, where I had a serious boyfriend and then met somebody else and had a connection with them. And so for me, I always thought that like, okay, if I have a connection with somebody else, it must mean I don't love my boyfriend. Because that was the only option that I really knew. Like, you know, I always thought like, well, if I really loved my boyfriend, I wouldn't be having these feelings for this other person. So I was really confused. And I couldn't talk to Mike, right? I was like, I can't talk to him about this because then we're going to break up, right? He's going to be like, oh, you have feelings for somebody else? Well, then we have to break up, right? Because that was the only sort of storyline, or like, that's the only way I knew things to go. I didn't know that there were any other options. So I did what most people do, and I kept this little secret. And I knew, and so the next week, we go back to this bar, and I ask my roommate, you know, oh, hey, how did it go with that guy, you know, and it was great, and oh, he's gonna be there tonight, I'm so excited. Oh, does that mean his friend is gonna be there? Yeah. And so I was like, okay. And so it became this thing. Like, I really looked forward to Wednesday nights because I was going to see this guy. And I had a ton of guilt because I was like, deep down, I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I have Mike, and it's a great relationship. It's not like there's anything truly wrong with it. So like, why am I so excited to see this other guy, and why am I sort of pursuing this? And so I was still very confused, and yet it didn't feel wrong either. I mean, that's hard to explain. It felt wrong, but it didn't feel wrong. You know, it was like,
You're having an internal battle.
I really was. I was having this crazy internal battle, and I didn't know what to do. So I just kept going. And so after a fairly short time, I mean, really, I think it was only like a month, maybe a month and a half of this happening. Maybe like 2 months tops. I don't even think it was that long. Like, eventually, I kind of knew, like, deep down, I was like, something's gotta give, something's gonna happen. All right, that's where we are going to leave it off for today. I know, such a cliffhanger, right? What's gonna happen? I'm sure you can probably guess what's going to happen, but, you know, you got to stick around to find out for sure what's happening. So, yeah, next week we're going to finish off our story, finish telling you about just how we got to where we're at. So, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and, oh, also, we do know and want to make sure to acknowledge it, and that you guys know that the sound in these first 2 episodes was not the greatest. We literally had the microphone right in front of Mike's face. For those of you watching the video, this is my cat Peach. But we literally have the microphone right in front of Mike's face, and it still wasn't picking him up that well. So just so you know, we're getting better equipment, and Mike is working on projecting. So yeah, just a little something. So episode 2, sound is going to be the same, but after that, it's going to be better. Anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and can't wait to you.